All right, I wanted to make a quick video about how we ideate content for customers, which is a good question that I get often on sales calls because we work with a lot of different industries, right? We always work with B2B companies, which generally just means, high customer lifetime values, at least 5 or 10K, long sales cycles between 3 to 12 months, and complex buying centers where there's multiple decision makers involved in making the buying decision. But within B2B, we work with a construction company, we work with a healthcare company, we work with multiple SaaS companies, we work with a blockchain company, we work with a machine learning company. So it's all over the place, right? So how are we able to come up with content and ideas and questions for these industries when we're not an expert in them? And the thing is, we are never the expert, and we never want to be, and we never pretend to be. It's your company, it's your business, you're the founder, you understand the problem and the solution and your customers and their pain points and the different things that go into the decision-making process and what they're frustrated with and how your product worked and the features. All of that you know better. The only thing that we know is how to create content that works well on platforms, that shortens your sales cycles, that generates inbound leads, and that positions you as an expert. And that's where we come in. So how do we do it? First, we define your audience and we get the insights from you. So in the onboarding process, we have a very extensive onboarding questionnaire that you fill out in the very beginning. And this is basically all the information that we need to be able to not write good content for you, but come up with good questions for you, where you then provide the insights, right? And so this is a long questionnaire. I think it's over 50 questions by now. And it digs into kind of your personal brand info, what background led you to start this company? How would you describe the company mission? How would you describe the culture that you're building? What are some of the core principles? How would you describe your communication style? So your tone of voice, any examples of other personal brands that you've worked with, and then we go into your customer profiles, right? What industries you're targeting, geographical locations, company size, job title, seniority level, company departments, what problem you solve for them, how your solution looks like, what they're currently doing, what keeps them up at night, what they're frustrated with, their pain points, the trends in the market. All of these things we get from you. And so this questionnaire generally takes people between 2 to 6 hours to fill out, which is a long time. But that's what we need from your side to be able to come up with good topics and questions for you that actually resonate with your audience and that actually positions you as a thought leader, right? And so once you fill this out, again, between 2 to 6 hours of concentrated time to fill out, we have everything to then, first what we do is we define your content pillars. And our content pillars, subject matter expertise, company culture, and rapport personal, are all based on the 3 types of trust. So while we are not an expert in your industry, the buying process in B2B is always the same, which is that before any one of your prospects buys from you, they need to trust you. And specifically, there are 3 types of trust that you need to establish with each prospect for them to be able to buy from you. And each trust has a different type of content that you need to create to establish that type of trust. We talk about this in other content, but first people need to trust that you know what you're talking about, that you are an expert in your industry, so that's subject matter expertise content. People need to trust that you can deliver on your promise, that's credibility content, and people need to trust that they will like working with you, especially if you're in B2B where you enter into contractual relationships, not one-off transactions. You need to have a baseline rapport. And basically the first one, subject matter expertise content, is addressing the problems, solving the problems that your customers are dealing with, addressing their frustrations, addressing their pain points, addressing their desires, explaining the trends in your market, sharing industry news. All of that is subject matter expertise. Credibility, that's kind of the case study, testimonial type of thing, growing the company, hiring people kind of sometimes falls into that, just showing that you can actually do what you say you will do. And then people need to trust that they will like working with you. Rapport content, this is usually more personal content, anecdotes, stories, hobbies that you might have. And so based on this framework, and what we see is a good breakdown is 50% subject matter expertise content, 25% company culture content, and 25% rapport content. Here's an example for customer Steven, who is actually not the founder. He's the VP of product strategy at Fireblocks, one of the few customers who is not the founder, but in the leadership team. Usually it's the founder, but same process, works for other people in the leadership team too. So he filled out the questionnaire. Based on the questionnaire, we come up with subtopics and recurring themes for each of the 3 pillars. And so they're in the Fireblocks, they're in the blockchain space. They work with banks, financial institutions, fintechs, crypto companies. So for subject matter expertise, here's some of the examples of his recurring themes: updates on new regulations, right? Finance, very highly regulated. Digital asset infrastructure, new business models for digital assets, digital asset settlement, digital asset infrastructure for capital market, how to scale a digital asset business, manual operations and workflows in that field, and then any new features and releases that they have about the product. Company culture, customer centricity, collaboration, right? Believing the CEO's thesis. And then for him, the personal and rapport content is for him specifically, and that's why it's really important that we get to know the person. For him, it's cycling and playing golf, learning about wines and cooking, living in Singapore and understanding new cultures. Again, these are obviously very different for each customers, but based on the questionnaire, we can establish these recurring themes. And then once we have that, we create a question log for you where we create questions for you that we prepare for you, which are again based on the content pillars and based on the questionnaire that you filled out. We also define your ICP here. So who are the people that you're trying to attract? There might be different verticals that you're focusing on. And then based on that, we come up with questions. So, personal stuff, culture stuff. How does Fireblocks go about creating a culture of collaboration? More general stuff, but then we can also go into subject matter expertise. What are the key difference between traditional financial assets and digital assets? What is the difference between MPC wallets and multi-sig wallets? How do you solve the efficiency problem without sacrificing security? So that's our job, right? Our job is to come up with good questions that you can then answer easily, because all of these questions will fall into your area of expertise anyway. It's not like you have to educate on them for a long time or Google the answer. You have the answer. We just need to, get it out of you. And so our job is to come up with really good questions that get the insights out of you. But you're the person in the video. You're the expert. You're the founder. You know your industry. You know your company. So we can't put any words into your mouth because we're not the expert on your stuff. We just ask good questions. You give the answer. You can prepare a little here, client notes if you want for the video. For some, you don't. And you share your insights. And then we can give coaching about form and making it concise and making sure that you have a good question to the audience at the end and have a catchy first sentence, and that you're within the time range of what performs on the platforms. Make sure that you don't ramble. All of these things. That's where we come in, and we can then do all the back end of editing the video, writing the copy, publishing it for you. But you're the expert, and we never pretend to be the expert.